Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Portugal. How are you doing? Good morning to wherever you are. In fact, wherever you are in the world. And I wonder where you are right now. I noticed I've only got a few people watching, and I think it's because I've actually started this show on time. And you guys have just got really used to Carl starting at, 8:33, 8:34. Anyway, this is my turn to blow up his show a little bit. And I'm wondering what kind of fun and mischief we can all get up to. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. So on today's show, we have got Jackie from Expats Portugal joining us at around 9 a.m. We've also got Bobby O'Reilly from Haddad Tamayo and Your Home joining us at 9:30ish. And we've got all the usual stuff like Kane Sabia from T-Duck and some facts of the day and things like that. Now, Carl is filming for a very well-known British TV show, and I'm not entirely sure if he's allowed to reveal where he is, but I am hoping that he tunes in a little bit before his filming starts. And let's see if we can get him to reveal who he's doing a show for. So that's what I'm really kind of looking forward to having a bit of mischief with. Anyway, before we really get cracking, let's start by welcoming some of you. I can see there's loads of people in the chat room already, which is always really great. All the usuals. We've got start off with Deagle this morning. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers. He's since put in an extra one for me, Louisa. False start here in Belfast, mid 9 degrees, but it's rained by lunchtime. High of 16 degrees Thursday, sunny, warm, 17 to 19 degrees. So it sounds quite interesting there. I can see I've actually just been joined by Carl out on location. So let's just see where he is, and I'll welcome some more of you lovely Gumpers to the show. One sec. Let's see if I can get him on. Hello.
Hola, bon dia.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm just next to my favourite power station in Caldestrenja.
Doesn't look very glamorous. I thought you'd be on a...
Well, and I'm near the railway line, where I like to see trains, and I think it all fits with my confession the other day of waving at passing coach drivers as well, which I shared publicly. I've seen a train. I've seen a train this morning.
Like a loony?
No, because I'm in the car quite a way away. I mean, I do have my limits and dignity.
Do you?
As hard as that might be to believe.
Just checking. Do you know what? Not many people join the show right at the start, and I think it's because I actually started it on time.
Oh yeah, that will throw people for sure. Yeah. How many more times do I have to tell you? 8:31. Sorry, everybody.
So, what can you reveal about the show that you're going to be participating on today?
What show?
Oh, is that top secret, is it?
I do not know to which you are referring.
Okay.
That's the thing. I don't know what I can and can't say. My lawyers haven't given me the contract back. The PR team are still freaking out about what I can and can't say. So I think it's probably best to err on the side of caution at the moment.
Have they actually watched any of these shows? They might not realise. What a
is that why PR and legal are freaking out? Okay, I hadn't thought of that. I don't know what to say yet, and but yes, in Caldash, heading to Caldash now. I want to actually send you some footage, or connect live from the Praça da Frutas, where I'll be quite soon, hopefully. But I just wanted to be in on the start of the show. It is so weird to be like out and about on a school day, driving through San Martino de Porto at 8:30, 8:15 in the morning, is so strange because normally I am sat where you're sat every weekday morning.
Yeah, I know. And now I'm in the control seat and I can like take you off, put you back on, really bugger about and have some fun. Now, just while I've got you on, I just want to check Solar Life. So Pete's saying, is anyone else finding the broadcast very twitchy on 2 devices here? And it's glitch central.
Yeah, could be.
Actually,
I don't know.
Jay
I'm
Clark
not.
joining us from Benidorm is saying yes, Solar, but actually it's really running smoothly from here. So I don't know what's going on there.
You just never know these days, do you? You never know. Yeah.
Oh well. What else can you reveal about what you're doing today?
Well, I'll park up and hopefully just find myself a little place in the sun to sit and wait for for my invitation to be called in front of the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I will let you go. Will you get?
I'll connect to you from the Praça de Frutas.
Yes, that sounds nice.
The legendary. I mean, this is the fruit market of all fruit markets in Portugal. I think legend has it. So I'll ring off now and then rejoin you then, and then maybe later on I might be able to do some over the shoulder filming of the TV crew.
I'd love to see the TV crew and
and obviously obligatory selfie with the presenter.
Okay.
As long as I can get clearance from legal and marketing before then.
Whatever.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Morning, Gumpers, by the way. Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Well, Mrs. M here.
Oh, my goodness. Loads of people are saying this is glitchy. Not sure if it's your side or mine, but there's a lot of buffering going on this morning. That's from Dougie Hughes. And Igor was saying buffering badly in Belfast this morning.
Well, I'm connecting to you beautifully, so I don't know what's happening. This is unusual, and there's a disturbance in the force. So I can see no obvious reason for it. Yeah.
Wow.
I did see that in San Martino they're setting up for the triathlon this weekend, so they might have all sorts of bandwidth issues. They might be doing something to connect to the outside world for that event. But it's really exciting what they're doing on the beachfront. They've laid down flooring on the beachfront.
Seriously?
Yeah. I don't know if that's for the runners to arrive and swap their bikes, whatever they do on a triathlon, because it's really the timing and the transitions from one form of transport to another, I think, are very important. Yeah. So they put in all sorts of infrastructure in. So we might have a San Martino de Porto internet infrastructure issue. I don't know.
Oh my goodness! So many people are saying, it's happening to me. Bananio
Slug.
Bananio Slug is saying me too, Deagle. And Pete's saying, Louisa, are the kids on GTA again? No, they're not.
That'll be it. Just check.
No, they're not. They're not. I've already checked. Everyone's saying it must be our end, but I can't see. Like, how can you? But how can you plug into us?
Well, I'm in Caldash. Yeah, I'm miles away.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
absolutely no problem.
Yeah. My apologies to everyone. I really don't know what to do about that. But the kids aren't. They're not all on different devices or anything like that. So
nothing like that. Well, maybe you could boot me off now. Who doesn't like to be booted off first thing in the morning?
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it might get a bit better when you leave. Who knows?
Charming. Fingers crossed.
All right. Oh no, even Bobby's saying yes, in and out as well. And
oh dear,
saying I get 1 second of video, then 10 to 15 seconds watching the wheel go round.
Oh my goodness. Unfortunate when it's you doing the show, when there's something beautiful to look at, that's going on. Okay.
Oh no, it seems to stop now. Banani saying Solar Life. Carl's big end has blown again. I reckon the kids are playing and watching. Good luck with our place in the sun. Tell them Johnny Comerford.
What? I cannot confirm or deny, Peter.
Well, Owen's saying it's all good with him, so that's good. Thank you, Owen.
All right.
Well, I'll see you at Praça de Frutas in a short while.
You certainly will.
All right.
I'm going to go find myself some big melons. Bye.
All right. Bye. Well, I'm so sorry to hear that it's so trying and testing for you all, but I am glad that it's sorting out for some people. T-Duck's saying, I got nothing. The stream just stopped for me. That's so weird because it's still going here. I do not understand it. But anyway, let me just carry on as if it's going like magic, because I really don't know what to do other than stopping the stream and starting again. And I don't think Carl would be happy if I do that to his show. Anyway, we are getting ready for the first of the weekenders. So the first weekend will be coming up at the end of September, and it's in Aroeira, which is just south of Lisbon. And I just wanted to share a little bit of information. Now, we've got a few people that are already signing up for it and saying they're interested, but I just wanted to give, I'm getting some good luck messages from people, which is really, really nice. I just wanted to share a little bit of info in case it's something that you've considered doing, but aren't quite sure. So the first thing that I wanted to really let you know about is, and let me just go to the page. So if you go to goodmorningportugal.com and then click on the Discovery Weekends, you'll see there's a whole list of different places where they're taking place. Aroeira, i.e. Lisbon South Bank, is where the first one is. And then when you click on there, it gives you all the dates. So it's from Friday to Sunday, 22nd to 24th of September. We've got information like the location of, where we're all going to be hanging out and stuff, information about transfers, etc., etc. And then we've got a little bit of a plan. So it's not really scoped out so that you can't get out of anything. I will say we're not doing it like we haven't bought a big package or anything like that. So there's no sort of, we haven't made it into a package for you that you just sign up to and come along. This is just us testing the ground to see if the whole idea of a weekend away sounds like a nice moment of sharing, something that we can all enjoy in. And so I think what we're thinking at the moment is that on the Friday, there's drinks in the local bar at Golf d'Agua at the Haddad de Aroeira, which is a really, really great place. And I'll show you a short video of that in a second. And then we can give you some other suggestions as to what you might do. I suspect the drinks social will carry on way into the night. I really wouldn't be surprised at all. Then Saturday morning, we're thinking brunch at the main meeting spot, possibly with a dolphin tour. The location of the weekend is near Fonte de Telia, the beach, and it's a really, really amazing little area. It's really beautiful. It's really calm. It's also very local. It's got really beautiful feels and vibes and whatnot. But there'll be a few different ideas. There's also an invitation. Bobby and Carl and also Andy Klein are doing a little bit of a secret project. Now, I'm not entirely sure how much of this has actually been revealed on the show yet or to various gumpers within the community, but they are doing a bit of a trial filming project, and maybe Bobby can share some info a bit later. But during each weekend, they'll be doing some actual filming for a proper show, which I think is going to be quite hilarious, first of all. And also it's, there was talk about some kind of helicopter ride, which sounds really, really quite amazing to me. But yeah, there's going to be some stuff going on around there. And then a big old social gathering on the Saturday night. And then on Sunday, just an early morning walk, brunch, visit to her dad, Demeo, or whatever it is that you would like to do before a little send off. So the whole idea of these weekends really is to get together and to build the community so that we all get to move around Portugal once a month to experience different aspects of it, try different food, and just, I guess, just really enjoy the country that we're all living in right now. So if you are interested, please do get in touch with Carl. And yeah, if you're interested in booking some accommodation, I can highly recommend the hotel at Haddad de Aroeira, and you can see this here. But there's also gump houses that you could check availability on and possibly share. I know we've got a family coming down and a couple of other couples, but please do, if you are interested, get in touch and we can take it from there. So anyway, that's my little call out. Just want to play a little bit so you get a feel for Aroeira. This is taken from the Your Home.
Only 25
website.
kilometres from Lisbon, located in a protected pine woodland and close to the coastal town of Caparica, you can find Aroeira. Aroera is a beautiful residential area next to the beach and is a unique estate comprising of 2 golf courses and a host of impressive mansions. Aroera Golf is the largest golf resort in the Lisbon area, with thousands of pine trees, 13 lakes, 2 golf courses, a tropical swimming pool, a golf school, 4 tennis courts. The resort also has security 24 hours a day. Inside the Haddad de Aroera, you can find a restaurant, supermarket, medical clinic, clinical massage, gym, and many other services.
So there you go. That's a little bit of information directly about Haddad de Aroera and the weekend away. Just checking in with the messages, and I can see that some people, everyone's having a very different experience today. So Dougie's giving up. He's saying, "What a shame, Louisa. Your show started off really well, but the glitches are spoiling the party. I guess we'll see it on catch up. I will catch up later on. I hope you do, and I hope you're not disappointed." Pete is saying, "Weird. It's okay on the TV on my laptop. It's really buffering there." Banani is saying it stopped buffering for the last 5 minutes or so and counting. Hopefully it's going to be okay. But Gary's fine. He's 5 over 5 here. No problem. Must be the French blocking the transmission. Ancient Mariner, he's saying really severe buffering. Ads are getting really intrusive nowadays. Do you know what? We don't have anything to do with the ads. We don't control those. So my apologies if they are being a bit of a pain. I have that on my own channel as well. Yeah, T-Duck, the stream stopped for me. Let's hope it comes back. Pete is saying, oh, there's a bit of a extra thread that I've missed out on, I think. It's like first hearing Portuguese spoken. You hear one word, then nothing, then a word jumps out at you. Banani saying, oh, that's still happening for me nearly 2 years in. The language part, that is. And then Pete is saying, until you realize it has 3 different meanings, it has been shortened, joined with another word. And of course, the H and vowels aren't pronounced. Yes, that is the experience that most of you will be having if you're living in Portugal and learning to speak the lingo. It is very much like that. Deagle saying, Carl, you're gone. So is the buffering. Louisa is all good again in Belfast. That's fantastic. Maybe it was just having Carl join me that created the problems in the force. Ian Turner is saying at Solar Life, I've taken a break from Portuguese, learning Welsh at the moment. It's even more difficult. Sorry, Dougie. Why are you learning Welsh, Ian? I'm really kind of interested by that. Despite all the problems, T-Duck is saying, smash that like button. Enough likes and the buffering will stop. Well, that's an interesting thought, isn't it? Now, I do know that we've got some top coach tips of the day from Ian T, from Coach Turner. And he is saying, good morning. He's saying, bon dia todos, and welcome to the Gumper Humper Day. Ooh, I've got flies having it off in front of me. Mrs. T has returned from Spain, so I have to behave myself again. We'll be off for coffee soon, so have a great day. Now, his God Squad tip of the day. Carl mentioned yesterday that exercise was important for us to reduce the effects of osteoporosis. That is correct, but it has to be weight bearing. For most of us, walking is sufficient. Though you can also lift light weights and do other work in the gym, what doesn't work is exercise such as swimming or cycling. While great aerobically, they don't stress the skeleton. So that's a really good tip. Thank you so much for that. We've also got some dad jokes, which I'll save to the end. I'm looking for T-Duck's Cain Sabia, so his deep thought for the day. Here we go. So deep thought, the final test of fame is to have a crazy person imagine he is you. And that's Mel Brooks. And along with Buck Henry, Mel Brooks created the hit TV comedy series Get Smart, which ran from 1965 to 1970. And the Cain Sabia is about an astrologer. So I'm going to bring that up in a minute, but I can see that Mr. M is somewhere in Carl-Dorania, and I suspect he's actually in Praça da Fruta. Now, do I actually tempt fate and get him back on? Who knows? So let's see what happens if it starts buffering with Carl. Then you know it's him that's the bogeyman. Anyway, let's bring him on. Carl, where are you now, mate?
In the car park. Well, actually,
Glamorous.
it's not. This is the lovely back streets of Caldash that I wanted to show you,
Oh,
because I
wow.
love this little area here in the back streets. And I'm just going to walk down the lanes here and then into the Press of the Fruit. I mean, look at that beautiful old building over there.
Yeah,
I
really
think
well.
you know this, Mrs. M. I've got to get out the road now. That I can hear a vehicle coming. All these lovely calçada cobbled streets.
Yes, which in the middle
Um,
of winter or when it's been raining will be
oh yeah,
absolutely really
be
slippery.
very careful down here. Yeah, yeah.
Moss growing, can't you? You know
And
that's
there's,
still.
isn't it lovely? In this sort of scenario, imagine Jason Bourne running across the rooftops and then a big car chase.
Yeah, is that part of your
Yeah.
exercise routine today?
I think that might be part of the filming, actually. Yeah. So my stunt double and I are going to argue it out which stunts we do. Look at this, isn't it lovely?
Who would your stunt double be?
Rowan Atkinson.
Okay, yeah, he's
Yeah.
done some pretty great stuff,
Strong.
actually.
Yeah. Or Tom Cruise, obviously.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Yeah. Look, and this is the back of the hospital. Sometimes you can smell an eggy smell in Caldash,
And
as
it's
some
not
people know.
walking with
And
you.
it's not me. It's not
Yeah.
me. It's the hospital, and it's sulfurous properties. I think
Yeah.
that are health giving. Ah, there's the building. Oh, there's a beautiful dog. I hope he's not going to bite me. Hello. Oh, you might see me getting bitten live here now.
That would be a bit distressing.
You would, but that you know that many people who visit Caldash see
Yeah.
this lovely building here,
Mhm.
and there are what, 4 of these I think in a row that overlook the park, and people think,
What
oh,
is
that'd be an amazing place to live. And
Yeah, but
one day it will be renovated, won't it? We know that.
Yeah, but I want to ask, what is that part of the building that looks like something Klaus Schwab might wear?
The
What is-
obelisk.
What is
Yeah,
that? Kind of
it's
sort
called
of-
it's a WEF generator, I think, at the back of the building.
Where the eggy smell's coming from?
Yes, maybe the mystery has been solved finally. It's
Yeah.
Klaus Schwab's little power plant at the back of the hospital here in Caldas de Reina.
Very
I've never seen this aspect of these beautiful buildings, so I don't know if you have or not. There you go. There's its little twin next to it, and they're falling into disrepair,
Yeah.
and they're very beautiful. And somebody one day will renovate these, and they'll be absolutely beautiful. That lady's not going to be able to do that in the winter, is she? Run down the Casadas there, and
Yeah.
a lovely little. Look at this. Does this date back to 1749?
I don't know.
Isn't it?
Looks like it does.
Yeah, or it's commemorative of that point. But there we are, lovely fountain in Caldash. Do you like walk through to? You can put me on silent if you want. Keep going and just have the roaming cam until I get to Placer. Yeah.
Give me a wave when you want to talk again.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to mute your mic now. Okay.
All right.
So that looks good. We get to see Carl out and about, and I'm really kind of I like Banani. Do it. Bring Carl on. Let's see what happens. No buffering here. That's great. Gary saying, never thought Carl was a car park lurker. You know what? I didn't either. It's a little bit weird to consider him a bit like that. Gary saying, sorry, Carl, Ken Livingston is busy. The sulfur comes from the hot springs in Caldash. Yeah, it certainly does. Okay, so let's just, while Carl is lurking around, let's just cover up on today's Kane Sabir from Thunderduck, from T-Duck, which isn't about, it's about an astrologer. So let's bring it on. Okay, Mestre João Faras was an astrologer, astronomer, physician, and surgeon. Crikey, is he got enough to do there? To King Manuel I of Portugal. He accompanied Pedro of Varas Cabral in the discovery of Brazil in 1500. Mestre João also joined the second Portuguese Indian armada of 13 ships commanded by Pedro of Varas Cabral, which left Lisbon in the early 1500s, destined for Calicut, India. The purpose of his joining the expedition seems to have been purely scientific. That is, to assist the future development of navigational science and to test new astronomic instruments. I wonder what happened. He wrote a famous letter identifying the Southern Cross constellation. It was later discovered in the Royal Archives. Oh, I must just stop there. Carl is showing us some of the things that Caldash is famous for. Carl, look at all those willies. Did you? I can't believe you bought
Well, I can't believe it. This is what happens, kids, if you eat those sort of mushrooms. You end up making things like this in art class. I mean, that is disgusting.
Who's it based on? There are quite a few selling.
Hold on a minute. That is my stunt double.
Is that your stunt
I
double?
think it could
Why is
be.
it rainbow though? And why has it got a pair of lips on the head?
I think it's a ceramic phallus in the LGBTQI plus styling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are. I don't know what these are. These are.
I like the little.
What are they? Special Prince Albert type accoutrement. And this one's got that's a wick. That spurting effect is actually a wick. You fill this one with flammable fluids.
Wow.
It's €7. I can see. You're seeing the reflection of the pavement outside, but what does that say? I'm not on my. Can't really read that.
No, I can't either. Okay. It's interesting. I imagine that every guy that sees that would be going, "Ooh," at the thought of lighting their penis.
Oh, come on, baby, light my fire matches. And it's outrageous, isn't it? This place.
You don't really get this on a high street in the UK, do you? But this is very.
You probably do. You probably do somewhere. Talking of Wales. Oh, it is actually the. There you go.
And this shop is just on the
and
side.
This is a great big fella in the background. It is, isn't it? This is at full length, so to speak.
Oh wow! And it's made of wood. Funnily enough,
it's a huge fiery scrotum. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? And I think you can get a cream for this. You can get a cream for this, and we're near the hospital, which is handy. Should you find yourself in this predicament?
Isn't it?
Look at that.
Wow.
Very, very naughty. Look at the absolute fridge. Oh, they do vaginas as well.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was just a slab of
and boobs.
Thing, or
it's an easy mistake to make.
or a fig.
Oh, good God! Right, I'm going.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? What you can find in Portugal back streets.
On the back streets, yeah.
Yeah. And so you're coming up to the Praça de Fruta now.
I am.
Just going to finish off T-Duck Pain Sevilla, and then I'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
One sec. So anyway, this Mestre João, he identified the Southern Cross, later discovered in the Royal Archives by historian Francisco Adolfo de Varnhagen, and first published in 1843. Hopefully this is the last one, so I don't have to make any more awful pronunciations. Beside this letter, the only other definitive clue about Mestre João's existence is an unpublished manuscript translation of Pomponius Meller's De Situ Orbis from Latin into imperfect Castilian. So there you go. Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful. Thank you for that, T-Duck. Can you send those ones to Carl normally? I like ones that are just written in plain English that I can actually pronounce. But anyway, thank you so much. It was nice to have a bit of an astrology link there too. Right, Carl is coming up to the Praça de Fruta now. So let's have a look. So it's looking quite busy there, Carl.
There's a man actually doing some potato sack lifting, which is one of the validated exercises of the Good Morning Portugal fitness community. And here are.
So that's actually good for osteoporosis, I think Ian's suggesting.
Absolutely.
Weight bearing, load bearing.
Lovely.
Yeah, it is. I'm surprised it's not bigger. I thought it went all the way down.
Oh, come on. How many potatoes and squashes do you want?
Okay,
no, to be fair, it is post-holiday. It does feel a little bit muted, but I mean, it is huge in terms of, could you wish for more fruits and vegetables in one place?
Yeah, it's pretty magnificent, isn't it?
Yes, look at those beautiful cabbages there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to walk down the aisles. I don't want to freak anybody out by a full frontal camera assault. Yeah, it's a bit of an invasion.
It is, isn't it?
So,
we've kind of used to the fact that people walk around videoing stuff all day long.
Yeah, but I think when I see people doing that, what a plonker. But now it's me doing it. Yeah, sometimes. Oh, there's a nice little lane down there.
Yeah.
That's that one where you go down and you see Bordalo down there. And people often think it's Mark Twain as a bronze down that little lane there. Oh, and I can smell flowers at this end. Yeah, this is the florist end of things.
Well, I can see we've got Jackie waiting backstage.
I better say, hi, Jackie, and I'll see you soon. See you all soon.
Okay. All right. See you later, and good luck with your filming and your mystery location.
Yeah. Okay.
See you later. So there he is. He's made it to Caldash, Slovenia. And it will be interesting to see if he checks in with us a little bit more with a few more clues about what's going on. I can see Jackie's just waiting in the wings, so I'm going to bring her on now. And yeah, let's just see what else comes up. So let's bring on Jackie now.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry. I couldn't figure out the blur. So you're looking into my kitchen this morning and the coffee bar, I see.
But I can hear myself. I'm coming through your speakers.
Oh, wait. Hi.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. That's perfect.
I'm sorry about the background. It's my kitchen.
It's fine. If I was, your kitchen's a bit tidier than ours. If we were doing it from our kitchen, there'd be all sorts of things. So
I don't think it looks so tidy, but we just made coffee, so.
Oh, very nice.
I have to figure out the blur and the background, so I got on this week, so. And that was with a lot of help from Carl. So
what's going on in your world at the moment?
At Expats Portugal, I think this is a really interesting one. And I'm curious if somebody could fact check this.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're having is a company called the Portugal Company come on. And they're buyer's agents. And that means a little bit something for every buyer's agent. It's a little bit different for every buyer's agent in terms of some buyer's agents ask the buyers to pay. Some buyer's agents split the commission with the seller's agent, which is more typically how it's done. The Portugal Company, I believe, does split the commission with the seller as well. But their commitment is different. Generally, the commitment here is everybody's working for the seller. And when you claim to be a buyer's agent, your commitment is for the buyer. So it's a shading. But one of the things that they do particularly well is that they are experts in rural properties like quintas in the middle of the country. And those kinds of purchases tend to be more complicated because, as you know, they could be owned by 40 cousins. And, 39 of them have agreed to sell. But that one cousin's a holdout. And what he does, which I never knew or thought about because this is not an issue in the States where I have bought before, is not only does he understand the bureaucracy, but he understands to do something that a lawyer won't do, which is go back through the records and find cousin number 40 and figure out if that cousin has agreed to sell the property. Because you think you're okay to buy a property only to find out that you're not, because there's one or two holdouts. So I think that's a really, really important deep dive that lawyers often don't do. And you need somebody who's really knowledgeable about buying in the country, buying these quintas and doing these kind of deep dives. But my question is, and I thought this was interesting, what I heard was there were, in parts of Portugal, there were no real property lines until the fires of 2017.
Seriously?
Yeah, and that's another thing that, you need a really good buyer's agent if you're buying a quinta in the middle of the country. And I'm wondering if that's true. So I'm wondering if any of your callers would know anything about that.
Yeah, well, you can help us in that research. That sounds really fascinating. Do you know what? I can still hear myself. Is your jack fully in the...
Yeah. My jack is... Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, but I can also hear myself feeding back through your system.
You're okay here.
Okay.
Wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's just like I've got one of those echoes. You know, when you have one of those funny phone calls, you can hear yourself twice. Hopefully, it's just me that hears that, but I'm a bit worried.
How is it now?
I can still hear myself.
Oh,
But we could
so
delay.
sorry.
Hang on. Are you playing this on YouTube? Can you close down YouTube on your system?
I
Can you turn
don't.
down the volume on your laptop? Thanks, Gary.
Okay. Does that help?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
No,
I had it
not.
on too loud.
I can still hear myself.
Oh,
Have you got?
I don't think.
Have you got another? Have you got this playing through Facebook?
No, I just use a new Firestream browser because the camera wasn't working on my other browser, which was, I forgot which was. But that's the only thing I'm doing different.
It's much better than it was anyway. So if anyone can help us with Jackie's question as to whether there were proper dividing lines, is that what you were saying? Proper boundary lines?
Property lines. And there are some parts of central Portugal in the rural areas that those were not defined.
Yeah.
And they decided to define them after the fires of 2017, which is really, if you think about it, that must have been a real challenge to buy a property and not know where your property begins or another property ends. And I have to tell you, that's why I think you really need to, especially a lot of times foreign buyers, they fall in love with the romance of a quinta and they think it's like buying a vineyard in Douro Valley or something. They fall in love with an idea only to face the reality of a bureaucratic system here.
Yeah.
That, you really have to face a lot in this country. And if you had a romantic notion, that will snap you right out of it.
Yeah, it really will. I mean, it is like a cold slap, wet face, like a wet slap in the face. We've got
both sides.
Yeah, it's a horrible bitch slap. Peter's saying the Portugal company are really, really good and great value. So he's saying Peter and Alice are just lovely and they're extremely well organized. So when you say you're bringing them on to Expats Portugal, what does that mean? Are they like partnering with you?
Oh, yeah. They're part of our dream team. And so they'll be talking on the webinar about what it means. I mean, they're going to do a deep dive and they're going to kind of share their expertise on what it means to buy, especially a rural property in Portugal, and all the things you may face and how they could overcome those things. I mean, yes, you're going to face a lot of bureaucratic problems, but they're going to have the solutions for you.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you really need to really understand what you're getting into before you get into it, before you make that commitment. And he'll explain it to you. I mean, nothing is impossible. And sometimes I think these systems are set up to dissuade us.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible. I'm sorry?
It does appear like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but yes, it really does. But when you listen to somebody say, look, this is what you're going to face, but this is how you can solve it. It kind of brings back the dream, I think, a bit, because it is kind of a dream killer. But if you know that you're with somebody that can do it, that can solve it in a way that makes financial sense, then you're in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that. I've heard quite a few scary stories of people who bought properties and then found out later on that part of their garden is kind of part owned or part shared with the community, and people have the rights to just come on and use their land. And because of that, they don't have the rights to be able to develop it because there's some kind of unwritten rule about it being shared. You know, there's a lot of confusion. And I've heard of 2 sets of expats that have bought next door to each other, and they can't agree on their boundaries, and the local freguesia can't agree. And there's some really nasty legal battles going on. And I don't think they ever really realised. So
You know, you have to avoid those legal battles going into it, to do the best you can to, and me and my husband were talking about it. We bought an apartment, and I think a lot of people don't realize the inheritance laws in the country. So, you know, the parents, it goes to their children. Okay, that makes sense. But then it goes to their children's children. And then it goes to the children's children's children. And before you know it, it's owned by so many people. And one of the things, again, I heard is that, and this was from a lawyer, and I could have misunderstood this, and I'm wondering what your audience might know, that because we have so many properties in Portugal that lay fallow, because they never agree to sell it. And somebody said if they actually tax the owners, the inherited children or great-grandchildren of these people, they'd be more inclined to sell the property because they're paying taxes on something they don't use.
Yeah.
And that might be one of the reasons that there's such a shortage of housing, because they have all these empty properties.
Yeah.
So I thought, that's interesting. Something I never thought about either. Is your text?
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I've noticed about my Portuguese friends over here is, like, you know, whenever there's a holiday, they're saying, oh, I'm just off to the Algarve or somewhere. And I'm like, oh, you're renting a place, or if you've got a nice hotel. And they're like, oh, no, it's my other house. And, you know, they've got often 2 or 3 houses that kind of belongs to everyone within the family. Anyone can use it any time. It's a very different culture to how it is for us in the UK, where we just tend to, if we're lucky, own a house.
Yeah, of course.
And it's very difficult, you know, from your culture in America to sort of understand that as well. I've got some comments about the boundary lines, so I'll just bring those up. I'm just going to, while I'm speaking, because I can still hear my echo, I'm just going to mute your mic, and then I'll unmute it when I finish.
Okay.
So Pam's sharing with us, when I bought my house in central Portugal in 2005, we had clear boundaries with diagrams. I will say, Pam, you're one of the few, because a lot of what's coming in is saying the opposite of that. But thank you for sharing that. That's really helpful. Antonio F., our local man, the man who knows, in many parts of Portugal, there are no physical property lines. There are just a few markers. Pete is saying, there are usually stone markers, but the Junta de Freguesia will have all the defined lines, as well as all the agricultural department. They even have records of when your trees are planted. That's really intrusive. I'd find that really annoying, actually. Owen is saying, before the 2017 fires, no true boundary lines were documented. Surveys started after 2017. Pete's coming back. It's quite interesting finding out exactly when each tree was planted. They started planting art olives in 1900 and stopped in 1952. That's really cool then, Pete, if you've got that as a document. I would find it a little intrusive if, you know, every year someone came round, or like this drone went over to see what was going on in my garden. That would freak me out a bit. But I guess from a historical perspective, that's really cool. Pam's also saying, why don't people pay IMI on empty property? So yeah, someone backing you up there. And then Pete is saying, our friends found out that half their building was owned by a neighbour that the lawyer missed. Be careful with who you employ, which I think is another really, really good point. Because if you don't have the right lawyer, and Carl and I found this with the accountants, we've now got really good accountants in place. But if you get the wrong advice from word go, it sets you off on such a bad trajectory. It really, really does. Final comment. I'll bring your voice back on. One sec. Gary is saying, isn't it funny that with all the land lying derelict, we can find occasions to argue about a couple of square meters behind a shed? Yes, actually. And another one from Antonio F. At Pam, when the value is very little, no IMI is charged. However, the government says they will start charging IMI for all empty properties. So that's really, really cool. So There you go. That's one of the answers. Was that useful?
Oh my gosh, your audience is a font of knowledge here. I mean, wow, that was impressive. I would say a couple of things that I thought were interesting is that he said his lawyer missed that half the property was owned.
Yeah.
And that's what the Portugal company does, because the lawyer may not always find that. And so what he does is a deep dive into that bureaucratic morass that finds that information, because a lawyer is going to kind of just be looking for the surface things, that all the documents are in order, that certain things are legal. But what he's doing is finding out that half that building you just bought is owned by your neighbor.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the great advantages of using, and that's what he's going to talk about on Thursday on our webinar.
Oh,
it's called the Portugal Company. I'm sorry?
That was going to be one of my questions.
Oh, yeah.
Webinar about. I think that's that's going to be very valuable to a lot of people. Really.
Yeah. I mean, it is, it's funny. Carl and I were talking about it, and it's really about, for me, okay, the assumptions I made about buying here. This was the number one assumption I made, which was just so stupid when I look back at it. I bought a apartment through Remax, and I thought, oh, Remax, it's the same in the US as it is in Portugal. No, it's not at all. I mean, they abide by the laws of the country. And this was something I really wish I had thought about. We were lucky. Our apartment did belong to 6 brothers.
Wow.
And every one of them agreed. And we thought, that could have gone wrong so many times.
Yeah.
And another thing is, get your own lawyer, as one of your audience suggests. Don't use the lawyer of the property company like Remax, the real estate company. Get your own lawyer.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh, we'll just use their lawyer. It's cheaper. Well, their lawyer was representing Remax. That lawyer wasn't representing us.
Yeah.
So I think these are some of the issues that he'll probably touch on tomorrow.
Very good. So that sounds
scary.
like, hang on one sec. That sounds like a really great move for Expats Portugal to partner with the Portugal company, because that's a really great string to your bow and a really good, powerful tool that all of your all of your members and clients can absolutely use in terms of buying the houses, because most people coming to you are probably wanting to buy a house when they're moving here as opposed to renting. I'm curious about what it's like being an American in Portugal, because this show is about, like your perspectives as an American and also Bobby's as an Irish person. So what's it like being an American in Portugal now? And are you part of a greater American community? Are there things like that coming up? Or what do you see as a problem for Americans coming to the Portuguese culture and climate?
I wake up every morning feeling incredibly grateful that I'm here. I still walk around it and I cannot believe it. And we spent 20 years in California, but we moved from Boston, where we spent another 15.
Wow.
And first of all, the first thing I thought yesterday was, oh my gosh, this is another winter I will not have to face. So that in itself makes every day great. Culturally, yes, there are differences. And I think what's interesting is that once you get over the assumptions, and once you if you make an effort to put your assumptions aside, you're going to be okay. So everything, you have to weigh things out. So like I was saying, I think on a previous show, okay, I may have to wait 15, 20 minutes to get my beer. Okay, I'm not going to have the greatest service. But if I want to sit at a table with my computer, overlooking the beautiful ocean for the next 3 hours with that beer, nobody's going to push me out. Is it worth the extra 10 minutes? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you look at life that way,
Mhm.
with everything, you're saying, yes, I'm giving this up, but what am I getting in return?
Yeah.
And I believe what you get in return is like tenfold. And I
Yeah.
think that every day. So I think that's one thing. And in terms of the culture, I think the people are incredibly lovely. And I speak the worst Portuguese. and I'm always trying to like abuse people with my Portuguese. And they are so kind. When they could have better English than I do. And they put up with my horrible Portuguese. So anybody is willing. And then they give me a little Portuguese lesson. I get a lesson. So I think it's amazing to live here. And I don't know. I think that I can't imagine at this point living anywhere else. I've only been here 4 years.
Wow.
So I don't know. What is your experience? What do you think?
I think it's a fantastic place to live. I've lived in a few countries. So I lived in France for 5 years. I lived in Italy for about 3 or 4 months. I spent time in Bali. I was there for 9 months. So I do really like being out of the UK, I have to say. And when I have lived in the UK, I've lived more in Devon with Carl, which is very rural, and it doesn't seem as fast paced as, say, London. So it's a bit like living in the country in Portugal. And so the transition to being here was really easy. But it's giving us the kind of family life that we want, because we can do our work and bundle the kids in the car and then go to the beach, go for a walk the dogs, go to a market. There's so many things that are just really accessible with a real sort of local experience. And one of the things that I really find is that it feels like how things were maybe 30 years ago in the UK, when people still chatted, when people still connected with people in their neighborhoods and still felt like they were part of something. So that's my experience, really. I mean, do you feel like you're part of life, or do you feel like you're on the outside, but it's okay to be on the outside? How do you feel in terms of that?
You know, you said something interesting. Cascais is a little bit different because it's not rural. In many ways, it's a small city.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in a building, and I do feel very connected. Okay, so I joined something called the International Women of Portugal,
Mm-hmm.
and there are many women from across the world.
Is that what Louise runs?
Yeah.
I've
Well,
been-
she did, but now not anymore. But yeah, she's. Oh, have you met Louise?
I haven't met her in person, but I've interviewed her a couple of times. She's great.
To where? I'm sorry.
I've interviewed her a couple of times.
Oh, she's remarkable. Could I just, when we first went on a hike there, me and my husband went on a hike, and my husband had a hat that said Nantucket. And she looked at us and she says, "Are you Jay and Jackie of Nantucket?" We're like, "What?"
Wow.
And she said that a friend of my husband's that he grew up with in New Jersey and Nantucket said, "You have to watch out for them. They're moving to Cascais." And she knew immediately who we were. He's like, "Oh, thank God I was like, imagine if we had bad reputations, they would have really followed us."
Yeah.
World small. But so I do belong to a number of groups, but I had a very interesting experience in my building, which, okay, so it's mostly Portuguese, but they're Portuguese from Mozambique, Angola, like from the colonies, basically.
Yeah.
And it's only, I think, 8 apartments in my building. And I have the most lovely neighbors. You couldn't ask for better neighbors than the ones I have, truly. I have great neighbors. Always very helpful, very kind. And what was interesting to me is I know all of my neighbors, maybe because I'm like the friendly American, and I was always like, "Hi, everybody," getting to know everybody. And I had a party, and I invited other friends, but I invited my whole building.
Wow.
And I thought, first of all, it's also good to invite your building, not only because I like them, but nobody calls the police on you if you go too long.
Exactly. That's a great idea. Top party tip.
But what I was very surprised at is that none of my neighbors had connected before this party.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah, and I was like, but they're so lovely, and they really seem to like each other. My husband goes, that's so unusual. I think I got a pass for being the American and inviting everybody, but what surprised us was how happy they were to be together. Because I thought, wow, they just immediately connected and were like so happy to be together. And I'd like to hope that it brought my building closer because now we socialize together.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just, again, I feel very connected and I love my neighbors. I love my neighborhood. But it was surprising to me that they're not doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I'm just going to mute you just for a second while I respond. I noticed that when we've been in the villages, everyone's been very connected. Like everyone's known all their families for like 3 generations. They know the names, who they're married to, etc., etc. But one thing I have noticed is that the sort of transition from being in the villages to then town life and city life, where you might be stacked high in apartments and stuff, that there is almost a breaking down of that trust and the story, the kind of continuous narrative. But isn't it lovely to hear that when they did meet up, that they all felt really relaxed and calm and really able to connect? So I think you've probably done a great little service to all the people that you live amongst. I can see that we've got Bobby waiting in the wings, looking dashing. He's waving. Looks like he's ready for a party, which is great. I'll bring you on in a minute, Bobby. You okay to wait for a few minutes? Is that all right? Okay, great. We've got some more comments about the conversation we were having about the Portugal company. So if you'll indulge me, I'll just share some of them, because there was the comment about and for those of you that are commenting, please forgive me if I don't get to everyone's comments, because I'm not as good as Carl on this front. But Gary's saying, what recourse do you have against solicitors or people who get things wrong when you trust them to act competently on your behalf? And Antonio F is saying you can start a claim against them in court for losses in their association. The Ancient Mariner is saying, do they do a deep dive or just a dive, not deep? I do think a truly deep diving is so very important these days. So yeah, he's really trying to get to the crux of it. Gary's saying, Antonio, I think that would take a long time to go through the court process and probably a lot of money. Banani is saying, I've never felt like I gave anything up leaving the US. Also, slightly different thread. And it's precisely the culture and the people that have won my heart. Isn't that lovely? Carl sent me a couple of nice messages as well. He's in the Tias de Caldas Cafe, which is really nice. I can recommend it. So I think that's where he might be doing the filming. We've got Mr. S saying, as an American, I didn't come to Portugal to practice my English to begin with. Portugal has so much to offer in terms of culture through language. I wouldn't miss it for the world. That's fantastic. The court complaint, yes, but I guess the complaint in the association would be easier and cheaper. So yeah, there's a big thread. And what I would recommend for most people is that you go to the webinar on Thursday, the Expats Portugal webinar, where you can ask the Portugal company for a lot more details. Jackie, what time is it on Thursday?
So we have the webinar from 7:30 to just almost 9. Okay. But at 9 o'clock, he's going to be on from 9 to 10, and you could ask questions in our forum.
Fantastic.
So you could get a lot of these questions answered. And what he does do is that deep dive. Yeah. And he does it, and it doesn't seem that it's cost prohibitive at all. Fantastic. So I would always prefer to do a deep dive that doesn't cost a lot.
It's absolutely worth doing, isn't it? So you get to the crux of what's going on with your property. Because, I mean, you don't really make that many purchases like that, do you, in a lifetime? Maybe Bobby does. Sure he does, and we'll get to Bobby in a sec. Well, thank you so much for being on today, Jackie.
It was a pleasure.
And when are you next on? Are you on every month or every couple of weeks?
I'm on every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
I'm always here.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for today, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
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 Wow, wasn't she fantastic? And it's great to hear about those changes that are going on. I always like to hear that there are some, great new services that people are offering that really help people out, because it's a huge thing to move to another country. And so we've got we've got Bobby O'Reilly in the in the sort of back. What's it called? He's backstage. Just got his coffee. By his side, he's ready. We've got some more comments coming in, but I'm going to bring on Bobby now and find out about some of the things that he had to overcome as an Irishman moving to Portugal, and also a little bit about what's going on with her dad Tomeo and also your home. So anyway, let's bring Bobby on now.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you. How are you? You're looking great. I'm liking the beard.
Fluff.
Fluff.
That's I forgot to shave this morning, you know.
Are you back home now? Or are you still partying in? Because you've been an international man of mystery in recent times, haven't you?
Went off on a bit of a travel holiday. Went done a couple of days in Spain, then took the ferry across to Ireland, sort of trying to show the kids the homeland and how do you say, a bit like, so what was your favorite part? The iPad, so.
Yeah, I think that's a bit like what it would be like if we took on our kids on a tour as well. Did they get a sense of what it is to be Irish?
They actually loved it. They loved the one thing that I never really realized, because I go over and back quite a lot myself. I fly over every couple of weeks or a couple of months. The family, the one thing that they really missed, that they're missing out on here is having that connection with their cousins, their grandparents, their uncles, their aunts and stuff like this, which I actually never really realized because I thought they were too busy with all their life going on here. And I suppose the one thing that I got, they wanted to stay there. They wanted to stay in Ireland. Now I have to say it didn't rain for the full week we were in Ireland. We didn't see a drop of rain. It was beautiful, it was very sunny. So they didn't really get a proper view of what it's like. The reality of it. But
they might have not felt so good if it had rained all the time.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's the one thing that really hit me was that they missed the family part of it. So we have to make more of a concerted effort to make sure we get home a lot more with the kids and get a lot more of the family over here. Because I'd sort of taken it for granted that because they grew up here that they wouldn't really miss it. But when they get home, they're spoiled rotten. So yeah, so that was the one thing. They loved it, absolutely loved it. But the place is beautiful. We loved it as well. Like we live here a long time now, and it's the first time I think I've been to Ireland, and the weather has been so fantastic that it never looked so beautiful as before. Maybe the fact that I've been away from it so long, but it was fabulous. Every bit of it was fabulous. I miss it already, but it's nice to be home.
Yeah, and what was the best thing about coming home back here?
Home comforts, I suppose, and getting sort of, having your own bed and having your own things around you. Because even though it's nice to travel, you're living out of a suitcase all the time, and you're trying to. But it was nice. It was grand. Like we did it sort of. We were fairly organised because we drove there, so we had one of those roof boxes, etc. So we brought the house with us, and it was okay. But coming home and having everything in ship shape when you come home, it was nice as well. So straight back into work then as well, because the one thing I missed was work. I love working, so
yeah, it's kind of how you relax, right?
Yeah, it's my thing. Yeah.
Now, I did mention that maybe you might be sharing some information about the sort of secret project you, Carl, and Andy have got on the side. What's being revealed about that? Are you able to share something about that?
I don't know. The only thing I was saying, is I was talking to Carl about the helicopters and stuff yesterday, getting a bit panicky, And
he's not as dangerous living as you, Bobby. He's not such a jet setter.
No, I don't know about that. I suppose what we're going to be trying to do, and I know he's talked about this before, so I'm not letting out any real secrets, is in that we want to showcase Portugal, what it has to offer, what we've got out of it and what we see in it. And that's between, as I said, like the working title is an Englishman, an Irishman, and for this particular one, it'll be an American walk into a bar. And we have two very special guests that will join us on this particular show, two Americans that are just fantastic people, bringing a lot of life to the actual to the show and what we're doing there. And I suppose the idea was to give a perspective, different types of perspective, but at the same time have a bit of fun, have a laugh at ourselves, as well as, you know, the things that we go through on a daily basis, etc. And I suppose a mix between sort of like so you know that program like Somebody Feed Phil versus I don't know, sort of
like Steve Coogan and
that kind of 3 minute boat type thing, that kind of feel, I believe. But the idea is just to see how it goes, and then also from my point of view, I wanted to showcase the South Bank, which everyone knows I'm passionate about, with regards to Araweira itself, the Herdad de Mayo, but also Fontatelia.
Fontatelia is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and so I'd come up with Carl had given me sort of an outline of what people would like to do for the weekend. So of course I was arranging buses and trips, all that, and I had my whole team working on it. And then I rang Carl and said, "What do you think about this?" He goes, "No."
I think see, when Carl first told me about the idea of like these weekends, I was like, okay, so are you gonna set up packages? And he's like, no, why would I do that? And I was like, oh, because I had a tour operation, like I came from tourism years and years ago. So I used to like set up packages and, you know, speak to hotels and whatnot. And but he wants to just see what comes from the meetups, see what people want to do and kind of work his way into it. That's how he tends to do most things. But you know, in you as a partner, and you know, somebody to sort of bounce ideas off with, he's actually met somebody who is even more spontaneous than he is. And so when he mentioned about the helicopter, he was like, aren't you shocked? I was like wetting myself because I could just see how, you know, you'd outrun Carl at quite some pace. And he was a bit like taken aback because normally he's creating chaos for everyone else with all of his like fast and free ideas and getting things moving. So I love it. I'm really excited to see what happens.
I know. I think it was actually a mix up between Top Gear and Somebody Feed Phil. That was the idea.
I think it's going to be a laugh because you two have got a great rapport anyway. So I just think it's going to be really good to see what comes of it.
No, it'll be fun. And like I suppose like the idea what Carl really wants to do is for people to come down who want to come down. There's plenty of places to stay. I spoke actually to the guy with the hotel, etc. as well. So he was willing to do even sort of because he's a good friend, sort of discounts on hotels and things like this.
Wow.
And but like there's so much around that even if people just want to go off and explore it themselves, you don't need everything's very close here, you know. So I think what we might do is just arrange a little booklet for people to see what's around here, and then they can do what they want themselves if they come down to it. Because I think he's stressed up enough with regard, and Andy as well, with regards to the shoot. So I'm not. That's it. So, but that's. I'm sure it'll be good. I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, I think it will do. I think it's going to be amazing. And I think it'll be a really great learning process for all three of you as you kind of work together. I think it's going to be just great fun. Are your boys interested in it? Do they want to get involved?
They know nothing about it at this stage, to be honest with you, and they probably wouldn't care less. They sort of don't. They have their own lives type thing, so they don't get into anything that I do at all. So no interest.
Banani is saying you've got a few comments coming in for you. Bobby, sounds like you were there the same time I was there. Oh, that's Ireland. I brought the sunshine with me. It was a beautiful time. I can see why you say the people there are much like the people here.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, the rain was ahead of us the whole time because we drove up through Zamora. We stayed in Zamora in Spain, which is fantastic. We then went to Leon, and the rain had just been and gone. We then went to Gijón in Asturias. The rain had gone. We got to about, you should have been here yesterday. You couldn't see the streets for the rain. Yeah. And we had no rain the whole time. Ireland, no rain. Driving down the A1 the other day, I couldn't see through the windscreen. The rain was so heavy in Portugal. So.
Yeah, we have had some real heavy rain for sure. Yeah. We've got a comment from Gary. He's saying, Bobby has officially started the facial dirt season. How you doing, fella? Enjoying the rugby?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What a win. What a win. It's going to be a great one. I think it's going to be a great World Cup. But of course, Ireland, I genuinely believe Ireland's going to win it. I hope it didn't curse it, but I do think Ireland's going to win it. I know everyone's favourites either France or South Africa, but I think this is our year for sure.
Okay. Fingers crossed for you. Did you know Carl actually he was one of the compares of the World Cup in Exeter. You know, like each of the cities had their own little big TV screens and kind of like concert ground stadium type things. And he was asked to be a compare for the World Cup. And it was hilarious because he knows absolutely nothing about rugby.
I think that's the goal.
He managed to get like a few bits of coaching from like top rugby players. I was so worried about him.
Yeah, my wife was never into it. We were on the boat for the Ireland and Romania game.
Really?
She had no interest in rugby up to then, but because she was stuck on the boat and nothing else to do, absolutely enjoyed it. When she actually started to watch it, it was a great and she likes sport in general, but she'd never really got into the rugby because it is quite difficult to understand for people who are not, I suppose, don't grow up with it. So
I didn't.
The World Cup, I think, is going to be brilliant. Like all the games so far have been fantastic. Yeah, it looks like a great tournament. Yeah,
when I watch rugby, I just think it's a load of guys just wanting to get intimate with each other. They just look like they're having a hug and a tussle. Just
brotherly love.
Boys.
It's a bit of a bromance.
Yeah,
going in with broken jaws and black eyes and broken legs.
I did date a rugby player for a while, and he had this like really misshapen
cauliflower ears.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. They're coming up with new ideas now on how to sort of maintain them, but
it's
not easy. Not easy.
Yeah, it must be.
Difficult. Really looking forward to that.
So, what's going on then with Haddad Mayo at the moment, and with your home?
Well, as you know, everyone does some work here in July and August, so we're just basically starting. And all the how do you say, infrastructure under the ground and everything is done. Started with the pillars, etc. So now the main contracting part will start now. Is in the actual concrete and the digging and all the sort of heavy works are starting now. We stopped selling in June to allow.
You've already sold them all, or
we had sold what we wanted to sell, and we probably only have around 20 left. And what we're going to do is launch the last few, probably in around October time. Just actually when there's something else to see there. Or we might just sell 10 and keep the last 10 till it's finished, something like this. But we're starting our new projects early next year as well. So we have to plan through on 2 new projects. So more or less, it's like someone says here, I've got a site, it's got planning. Never happened before. So I don't want to say.
What are you building in these other 2 projects coming up?
Yeah, so we've got 2 more projects that we're going to start hopefully in the new year. We're actually doing the design of them now. So we actually have what they call the PIP. We have the sections broken up into different plots and so on. The allotments, they call them, the allotments. They're done, and now what we're actually doing is designing the houses themselves and how they fit in, and the technology that we're trying to bring to the new sustainability, and trying to even make them bigger and better. I don't mean bigger houses, but I mean better, functional, as well as with the sustainability part and so on again. So future-proofing as much as possible, and trying to keep it within a point where it's affordable for that market. As you see, as you were talking about earlier on, there's a huge problem with regards to the amount of housing and the volume and the type of housing that's available. But I believe that the way people should be looking to build in the future is of this standard, and trying to set a standard, trying to set a bar where people should be trying to build to. So my competition is going to basically they can sell it a lot cheaper, but it'll be a cheaper type house. So there will be a market for that as well, but trying to create a house that when you sell it in future, it still holds a huge value because of what's in it already, rather than you have to go back and put new insulation, you have to do this, we have to do that. So that's the plan. So I'm looking forward to the new projects as well. We also have a couple of projects in Lisbon that we're about to start as well. We have one in Príncipe Real, which is overlooking the river. Beautiful, beautiful apartments right in the city centre.
They'll be snapped up, right?
It's a standalone building, so it doesn't connect onto any other building. So basically, windows all around. It's a small.
Wow.
It's only 8 apartments, all very, very nice apartments. And then we have another building in front of the Parliament in Rua de São Bento, which we're in the middle of construction already, and we only have, I think, 4 units left in that one to sell. But we also have a couple in Chiado, and we have a couple in Avenida Liberdade as well. So we've plenty of stuff happening. We've Your Home itself has brought on a new sales manager in the company, and he's starting to rebuild a new team of sales. So we have new properties coming up all over the place. So mainly in South Bank and in Lisbon, of course. That's what we concentrate on. So lots happening.
My goodness. How do you stay sane with it all? Like, I mean, when obviously I know like you grew up around was it your mum and dad's bakery?
Yeah.
You know, like when you were younger, did you like dream of becoming like the Bobby O'Reilly that we see today? Like how did you come to be in this position, and how does that happen, Bobby? Like,
I don't know. I think it was just a progression of things.
Yeah.
It's a progression of things. So sort of one thing I suppose I've always had was a belief in myself, in my own abilities. And regardless what people told me you couldn't do, I never heard it. I couldn't hear it. So I just kept it going. And how I dealt with it was drink. It's I'm joking.
No, I think that's how a lot of people have dealt with things. You know, when they've pushed themselves out into work a lot more, then they've like hit the bottle behind the scenes just a little bit, or, you know, like social drinking and things like that. You have to party hard to ease off some of the tension that you might be carrying on your shoulders all the time.
Yeah, no, well, I tell you what it is. A lot of it is socializing. My job is very, very, I would say, I say this to everyone, it's relatively easy because it's socializing, it's talking, it's communicating, it's learning, it's picking things up as you go. But I suppose the secret is getting the right people around you. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the secret.
you say that's the secret and that's it. Like, it's really, really easy. And yet I think that's one of the biggest things that most people struggle with, is getting the right people in their team. Like, what is your secret to that?
It takes time. It takes time.
Right.
And you will, people will come and people will go, and then you will always create a core. And the core people will sort of feed into your vision. And I was watching, Elon Musk. Not Elon Musk. I'm not as mad as Elon Musk, and I mean brilliantly mad as well.
I'm quite fascinated by him.
Yeah,
I like the way his mind works. I think he's interesting.
Yeah, but he's got Asperger's as well. So like the thing is, his brain works differently. As such. And he doesn't see negatives, but he also sees things that other people can't see. But the one thing that he always went by, that people had to feed into the vision. They all are part of one team. And I remember people, they were commenting about him being upset that people didn't want to work the same amount of hours as he did. He would be sleeping in the office and things. I'm a bit like that, in the sense that this is our baby. This is our thing that we're trying to do.
Yeah.
That was the hard part. So you have two types of people. People will either buy into that and will want to be part of it and give their blood, and they'll bleed blue. You know, if that's the color of our company, they'll bleed blue for you, because they're buying into what you're trying to do, and they really see your vision and they want to be part of it. And then you have other people who just like, don't call me after 5 o'clock, it's illegal, and so on. And they're not for you, are they? Those people? No. And genuinely they're not. And no problem if that's what they want to do. But for me, I need my core who buy into what we do, and everything else I subcontract out. That's it. Yeah. I don't have to deal with that part then.
Yeah.
So core, get your core.
Fantastic. Now I want to ask you, because we got a little bit more time. Is that okay if I just ask more questions? In terms of like coming over here as an Irishman, what would you say is the biggest shock for Irish nationals when they're moving to Portugal?
Actually, the biggest shock I got as an Irishman going around the world is that we're sort of sucked in the sense that people like Irish people for whatever.
Yeah, you've got a good reputation.
Yeah, it's sort of preceded us. So like you're sort of halfway in already. You're not a kind of way, and you're accepted in. Now it's make them like you in the next couple of seconds, you know. So it was always an advantage, I think, being Irish. I've never been anywhere. I don't think I've ever been anywhere where being Irish was a disadvantage, you know. So like that being the first part of it. But here, I actually, in Portugal itself, it was nearly an added bonus because being a foreigner was an added bonus, because I think the perception of foreigners that come to Portugal is that they must be, I won't say better or higher, but they elevate you. You know, to put you on a bit of a pedestal, if you like. I got meetings because of the fact that I was Irish. That if I was Portuguese, I wouldn't have got meetings.
Yes.
And I found that strange. I found that extremely strange. The fact that I thought I would have the disadvantage. The fact that, number one, I didn't have the language, and number two, I wasn't from Portugal. But it was the opposite. It was that the fact that I didn't have the language, I must be more important. The fact that I'm at this meeting, and it was very strange. But I used it to my advantage, to be honest. But being Irish here, it's great. I have to say, I'm not surrounded by a huge Irish community. Like I haven't. What like a lot of people do, that sort of tend to their own or stick to their own, whether they're from India, whether from Brazil, wherever, they all sort of. I'm not one of those people. I'm sort of I suppose because I've been around the world a long time, I'm an international person at this stage, and my house is full of international people every week from all parts of the world. It's a lovely way to have it. And there'll be another Irish person, some of them are very odd, will stop in as I go. But like, I've had people here from Africa, from Nigeria, and from South Africa, from Kenya, people from China, and I'm talking about the same time. Ireland, obviously Portuguese as well, but it's become an international camp, if you like. So my job has always been international. So and they're genuinely friends. So I have a lot of Middle Eastern, Indian friends now as well. So I tend to sort of stick to people not stick to, but it's what I'm attracted to, people of difference rather than of the same. One thing I hate going to is Irish pubs. Ireland pubs.
Yeah.
But I don't like the Irish pub scene, particularly. Sort of, how would you say? It's a themed pub that doesn't represent anything to do with Ireland as such, except the fact that it's trying to sell that we're all drinkers. Actually, the one thing that I found I was in Germany a few weeks ago, and my wife loves Guinness as well, but she likes a bit of blackcurrant. It's a mortal sin for any Irishman, but some women like it.
I understand her plight there. I like it a little bit sweetened as well.
So she ordered the Guinness with blackcurrant, and what she got was more or less 3/4 a pint of blackcurrant and a head of.
Oh no! Who did that?
Some guy who wasn't Irish.
Yeah. Oh my God! And who obviously had never tasted that to know that was just. Like some things you can intuitively know, right? I mean, normally if I do have a top up of blackcurrant, it may also have vodka in it as well. Kahlua or something. Who knows? Oh my God. What was that person thinking?
I have no idea. And
how was your wife about it? Did she
and my wife's Lithuanian, but she was disgusted as well. So like we've now come up with a rule: we don't drink Guinness outside of Ireland. Yeah. It's just not worth it. It's because you're going to be disappointed every time. You really are, unless you pour it yourself at home with my little surge thing.
Yes, I mean, well, I like your surge thing. It sounds great. Dougie Hughes, that's watching, is saying, "Haha, wish I was Irish. No one likes the Welsh."
That's not Dougie. True. You just don't understand them.
Dougie, you know what? I felt the pain of being British when I've gone out and about. So yeah, I'm not Welsh, I'm not Irish. I've got a bit of Scottish ancestry, but yeah, I felt the pain of being English or British, because like there's a lot of countries don't like the Brits very much. So I just try and emphasize the fact that I've lived in lots of places, and I consider myself to be international as well. It's a better way of doing it, isn't it?
But it's very funny actually when I come across another Irish person and I'm in company of people from before and we start to talk, they don't understand the word we're saying, because we go back to our not different language, just go back into our old lingo and our old sort of, we drop our THs and so on and so forth, and it's just becomes oblivious to other people who are trying to understand what we're trying to say. So like your
boys understand it. Have they ever sort of come
Yeah,
across?
yeah, but actually, it's fantastic. They go to a Portuguese school, right?
Yeah,
But their English is better than ours. As in,
yeah,
they speak proper English. They
yeah,
pronounce th,
yeah,
the, and so on.
yeah,
They open their mouth, like, So they actually, I think the Irish thing is we don't have any lips, so we don't move. We're talking like this all the time.
yeah.
Where
So people can't lip read, and
yeah. So, but if you look at the French and they all move their lips and so on and so forth, like, but the
the
Irish people,
Italian and Spanish.
yeah, we've nothing. You see here, nothing. It's an Irish thing, so maybe that's why we talk like we do. But
Yeah.
I think we've when you go further afield, as an Irish person, the first perception of people who don't really know this part of the world, or the Irish or the British Isles, let's say, would automatically think you're British because
Yeah.
the fact that you speak English is your first language. But we're at how to say, pains to let them know straight away. No, we're Irish.
We definitely
Because we know that's a disadvantage and an advantage. I
Yeah.
was in Spain many years ago, and I was buying a bottle of. It was actually a perfume bottle, not a bottle of perfume, off a market guy, and I was trying to haggle him down. And let's say it was €20, or it was pesetas at the time. But I was trying to haggle him down. He wasn't haggling down. And so after I bought it off him, he turned around and said, "So what part of England are you from?" I said, "I know I'm not. Give me back 5." After he had
Oh
sold it.
wow. Yes.
So there was, I suppose, preconception that the Irish were probably easier sort of welcoming. I don't know. I don't really know. Maybe because if you ever watch the football things that goes along, I think a lot of the media has a lot to do with it. And the Irish, no matter where they go, we don't expect to win anything except the rugby.
Yeah.
But we always get kicked out of every tournament in the first couple of minutes. And we just enjoy the rest of the tournament and drink and have fun,
Yeah.
And I think that sort of endeared us to a lot of the local nations, if you like, European nations as well, because that's the kind of character that we are.
Well, I mean, like when I sort of conjure up the idea of a mythical Irish person, I just imagine someone with lots of good cheer. Somebody who's generous, who's got good cheer, who likes a drink, likes a laugh, and likes a song and a dance, and maybe a tall tale. But I mean, they're just like sort of ideas that we have about different cultures. And I've met, I've got loads of Irish friends, and they're all really cool people, really nice people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a few assholes out there as well.
Yeah, totally. Everywhere. Speaking of, no, actually, we've got loads of comments coming in from people who are lamenting their nationality. So let's just bring on some of those comments. And then will you stick around for me killing some dad jokes?
Sure.
My delivery is terrible, but I don't want to let people down.
I'll be any better than Carl's.
Oh, no, Carl's really good at delivering. Oh, I'm rubbish. Gary Mills is saying, Dougie, when I travel to the US, they love my accent because they think I'm Scottish. Gary saying, could be worse, you could be English. Absolutely no one likes us. And I'm a Brummie as well to make it impossible. Oh, I'm so sorry. Gary, we love you. Pam is saying, I find I have to move my mouth more to speak Portuguese. It's a workout. It's so funny, isn't it? Because I speak French quite well. And you do have a different kind of you have a different way of being in your face. Like when I'm kind of French, I'm a lot more shruggy and my voice is so much lower and actually deeper. Yeah, it's funny that. Gary's saying anywhere you go in the world, it won't be long before you meet an Irishman or an Australian or a Portuguese person as well. I love Ireland. Dougie's saying spent a lot of my youth there. It's a cool place. I spent a bit of time in Belfast. On work. I was there for 3 months, and for the first 3 weeks I had to, because I was a trainer, so I was delivering training to a load of people from Belfast. I had to actually ask them to not interrupt over each other because I just couldn't understand a word they were saying. Terrible.
I understand you.
It was really, really hard for me. So okay, I think we're coming to the time of the dad jokes. Well, I'm going to kill it. Let's just see how we get on with those. They're all at the top. Okay, we got some from the Ancient Mariner, and we've got some from Thunderduck. Okay, I'm really nervous about this. Okay, Bobby, get ready.
Okay.
What has 5 toes but isn't your foot? My foot. Okay, I'm not going to put them on the screen because that's the worst thing is you're just going to read it. So next one. I love telling dad jokes. Sometimes he even laughs. Oh, I'm about to get jumped on by kids, I think. Next one. My friend was showing me around his shed and said, "This is my step ladder. I never knew my real ladder." I really like that.
That's a good one.
That is really good. We're joined by Solomon. You remember him?
Yeah, of course I
Pooed
do.
under a table. He doesn't do that anymore, do you? You don't poo under tables anymore, do you? No. You can say hello to Bobby.
Hello.
Hi, Solomon.
He's saying hi. Okay. My last girlfriend poked me in the eye. I didn't see her anymore. Very good.
Terrible.
Okay.
Terrible.
My wife just completed a 40-week bodybuilding program. It's a girl and she weighs 7 pounds 10 ounces. Okay. Fairy tales used to start with once upon a time. Today, fairy tales begin with according to experts. Boo hiss, but it does seem to be that
sources close to the person.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of the end of the show, really. I was hoping we might get to see a little bit more about where Carl was videoing, but I'm guessing he's in the throes of it, right now.
It's sunny there.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a nice time doing it. Just a couple more comments. The Ancient Mariner is saying Cork is the center of the universe. Oh, the universe. Is that? Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, what have you got planned for the rest of your day?
Work. Actually, I have some friends who just arrived. So we're going to see them first. We were out last night, but I'm going to see them. Then I have a couple of meetings today. Very easy going day today.
Very good.
Start easing back into the week, and then next week it'll be boom.
Yeah.
We're catching up the last 2 weeks, and
Yeah, and is Carl meeting up with you on Friday, I think, as well?
Yeah, he's coming up on Friday to test the helicopters. See which one he wants. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds very good. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again, Bobby. Have a really nice rest of day. And for everyone that's been watching live, thank you for persisting with us, even though right at the start it seemed like it was all jumpy and robotic and whatnot. I hope it hasn't been too distracting, and I hope you had a nice time. Let us know if there's something more you want to ask Bobby next time he comes on, so we can start lining up some of those questions, because as you can see, Bobby's a real person, very open, very happy to talk and whatnot. So enjoy the rest of your days. We'll catch up real soon, and yes, let's see if I can run the outro without messing it up, because Carl has got a whole heap of different things all over the place. So anyway, I'm gonna hit the button. So thank you so much for joining today. Take care and see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day